Hi, and welcome to another episode of pianoTV. So in the last video, we talked about how to improvise chords and left-hand parts for pop music if you're reading from a lead sheet, or if you're reading sheet music and you don't want to have to actually learn the really complex sheet music, you can just use the chords. So in today's video, we're going to talk about another aspect of playing by ear, and that is how to pick out a melody by ear without having it written out in front of you. So this would be like if you go on Google and you type in Taylor Swift blank space chords, and what you'll get is a sheet with the lyrics and then the chords which overlap with the lyrics, and they don't actually give you a written out right hand part. So in this video, I want to talk about how to do that. And it's a complicated topic, but what I want to do today is give an overview of that topic. So let's get started. So I want to give you a couple disclaimers before we really get into this. And the first thing is that teaching how to play music by ear is really, really challenging. And part of the problem for me is that I've never had to struggle with it. I've always had really good pitch, and I've never really struggled to match tunes to the piano. I've never struggled with pitch. And because of that, since I haven't had to work for it, it's difficult for me to teach because I haven't had to go through that process myself. Sometimes natural skills are the most challenging to teach. So secondly, and because of that, the best advice I'm able to give you in this video are just a collection of different ideas. It's not going to be a detailed how-to or a very specific roadmap, but hopefully there's a couple things in here you'll find useful. Some of you are going to be in the same boat as me, you'll find it pretty easy to match a tune to the piano, but some people are tone deaf or partially tone deaf, and it is much, much, much more challenging for these people to do it. So I think the first thing is to just accept where you are. If you are tone deaf, you're gonna have to really, really work on the basics, and it's gonna seem too basic. You might want to race ahead and do some of the more challenging things we talk about in this video, but it might even take you I was going to say years. That sounds kind of depressing when I put it like that, but it might take you a long time. So just allow yourself the time to develop this skill. You have to learn how to match pitch if you ever want to pick out tunes by ear. Now, the easiest way to do this is to use a website like Teoria or an app that does ear training. Basically, you just need to learn how to match pitches and to judge distances on piano, such as seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, etc. And this is what we call ear training. It's something that you really should be doing every day, along with practicing your pieces and reading music, especially if you struggle with it. Start simple. When you're training your ears to do intervals, don't try doing all the intervals at once, like seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, etc. Start by even just trying to differentiate direction. So are the notes going up or are they going down? Can you do that just by listening? And just start with a couple options, like maybe you do seconds and thirds. Once you can easily judge seconds and thirds apart by sound without looking, can you then add fourths to the mix? And then once you're really good at those three, can you add fifths to the mix, and so on? Listen to really short musical excerpts on a site like Teoria and then just try to imitate them. So to simplify this, you just select an option that tells you what the first note will be, like right here. If you've already trained your ears to hear intervals and note directions, this should be a doable exercise. And if you're not getting anything right at this stage, you gotta go back to the drawing board and do some interval training again. Once you can match the sound on your piano to a digital sound, try matching it to the human voice. It's actually super challenging because the tenor of a human voice is very different from a keyboard. So sometimes I'll do this in my piano lessons. I'll do something where I sing a short tune. So say, for example, I sing, ah, and the student has to then pick out those notes on the piano. But I mean, the problem is if you don't have a friend kicking around to do that for you, it's a little bit more challenging. But another thing you can do is find some easy pop songs that you could even just play a 5-second clip of on repeat over and over and over again, and then figuring it out just like a little Adele or something. That's basically what I spent my childhood doing. That's how I taught myself to do this. You can also sing a short bar, maybe a bar or two of a tune to yourself. So maybe, I don't know, you have a tune in your head da 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 da, and then match the piano keys to your voice that way. The problem with all of these methods, though, is you have no way to correct yourself if you're doing it wrong. If your ear is undeveloped, you might think you're matching the notes when in reality they're way off. So there might be tools on the internet to help you with this as well, but I don't know of any. And if you do, please share those in the comments below. This is why when it comes to ear training, being able to sing is crucial. You don't have to have like a heavenly angelic voice or anything. Like, you might not even sound that good, that's fine. But it is important to be able to carry a tune, because if you can't carry a tune with your voice, how do you expect to carry a tune on the piano? Now, this idea is getting a little bit close to vocal coaching territory, which I am not. I know that a professional vocal teacher would have a lot more advice in this regard, and like how to train your voice to match pitches, and it's just a little bit out of my arena. I can only really share with you what I've learned. I've been singing since I was a really small child, and my pitch has always been pretty accurate. And as I mentioned earlier, since I'm not coming from the perspective of a tone deaf person who then developed pitch, I'm not as good at teaching pitch, but I do have a couple observations that I can share. So first of all, the correct pitch just feels right. When I sing the right pitch and match my pitch to the songs and they like are the same, it feels like Tetris. You know, like in Tetris when you have this opening and if you fit it, like the line in, all the lines disappear and you get a lot of points. That's what pitch matching feels like to me. It feels like blocks fitting into their designated spaces. There's a certain vibration when pitches match. The best way to experience it is to just feel it. If you have a friend sing a tone and then you match that tone, like with their help, it has a really stable vibration. But if your pitch is not the right tone, the vibrations don't align and it just feels really, like really bad. I can't describe it deeper than that, but you can feel it in your body if you start paying attention to it. But honestly, my biggest way to develop pitch was to sing constantly. Like ever since I was a little kid, that was my method. So think about it like this. What does a song sound like when they're just ghosting in your head? We get songs stuck in our head all the time. So are you mainly hearing the rhythms and the beat? Can you form a mental sound picture of any instruments? Or maybe you can see the lyrics, but can you actually hear them and the tunes they make? And if you are hearing the tune, what are the specific pitches? I want you to focus on that. I want you to focus on music you have playing in your head and see if you can start picking out details instead of just hearing it as this like fuzzy concept of a song. I want you to see if you can hear it in more detail. So when I have a song in my head, I almost always hear it with absolute pitch if it's a song I really know, which means that the song's tune that I have in my head is the exact same tune of the actual song. Now, some people hear in relative pitch, which means they can hear all the intervals and leaps properly, but they aren't going to necessarily play it or sing it in the right key. So say, for example, if I'm Taylor Swift blank space, is in the key of F major, I think, hopefully. That's what I hear in my head anyway. But I mean, someone with good relative pitch might start doing this. They're doing the same tune, they're doing the right tune, just in the wrong key. So kind of having good relative pitch is an intermediate step between being tone deaf on one hand and then having good absolute pitch on the other hand. It's somewhere in the middle. I don't think I always had good absolute pitch. I'm pretty sure it's something that I built up over time, because I do recall a specific instance when I was just starting teaching and I was training my absolute pitch by memorizing the sound of middle C. Da, that's middle C. So how I did this is I would play middle C on the piano and memorize the imprint of its sound. And I'd keep the tone in my head as long as I could, so maybe I'd test myself on it a few seconds later, or then maybe a few minutes later, or even a few hours later. And I'd test myself at random points. Could I conjure the sound of middle C at random times, like when I'm doing dishes or something? So I would hear the tone in my head, and then I'd go run to the piano and I'd press the C, and I'd see if they were the same. So eventually I got to the point where I could do this flawlessly, like middle C is forever burned into my brain. I will not forget middle C. So now that middle C is burned into my brain, I could then hear any other tone on the piano and figure out what it is based on my middle C reference point. And I can do this because I know intervals. So if someone plays this, it's an F. It's 4 tones away from C, which my reference note is. So if I hear an F, I can also still hear that C in my head. Da, and then I can work with da 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 da, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can kind of like work my way to knowing it's an F. I mean, this training is fairly advanced, but hearing a song in the right key and having absolute pitch is probably the most useful skill in my tool belt for playing by ear. I mean, someone can say, play blank space, and even without listening to the piece, I can hear what key it's in my head, what the chord changes are, more or less, and I can kind of sense out what the chord changes are, and I can sense out the structure of the melody. So with all of that said, if you've developed those skills and you're looking at music, say like this, sorry it's a little blurry, let's talk about how you would improvise that on the piano. First of all, I wanted to show you this because if the sheet music you look up, sorry, not sheet music, the lead sheet you look up says something like 3rd fret capo, do not use it because the chords aren't going to be the same chords you hear in the actual music. It's like to simplify things for the guitar players so they don't have to do all these difficult chords. So here we go. I found a chord version that doesn't use a capo, and just glancing through quickly, I can see that like this is probably accurate. I do know that it is in the key of C minor, and the chords look good enough. So I'm going to start this by figuring out the left hand rhythm, then I'm going to figure out the right hand tune. Okay, so let's walk through this. The intro has like a muted sound, so I'm going to keep the left hand really sparse. Or maybe I'll even just do quarter notes. Nah, 8th note sounds better. So I'm going to be doing rhythmic bass notes instead of playing the whole chord. I just think it's going to sound better, a little bit more empty. I'm going to do 8 repetitions of each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because I've decided to play 8th notes, and the song's in 4/4 time. There's 2 8th notes per quarter note, so there's 8 8th notes in 4/4 time. So now that I can hear the first couple chords, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to help me figure out the melody from there. And I'm going to pick out the pitch of the melody. And if I can't get the melody in my head, I'll just listen to the beginning of the recording a whole bunch of times until it's like burned in my brain. If you can't pick out the pitch a cappella, like without any background music, you have much more work to do. Keep doing your training, keep practicing this every day, and you'll eventually get there. So once I can play / sing my melody da 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 a cappella, it's time to translate that to piano notes. So I usually I get the tune in my head, I'm able to sing it vocally, and then I put it on the piano. Then all that's left to do is add that to the left hand, make sure everything still sounds good. Something like that anyway. I haven't actually tried playing it before now, so that was fresh. So hopefully you've enjoyed this discussion on ear training. I've actually had quite a few requests to do ear training videos, and they've kind of confounded me. I haven't really known how to approach it. So today I just decided to go in kind of the direction of doing a big overview, and instead of like hyper specific focusing on details, which we can do in other videos if you'd like. Just let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys next time. Let me do that one more time. My bad.